Welcome back. I'm Lou Whelan. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Senator Isaacson, one of the great leaders of our city, state, and country. And you can hear that interview on my website, atlantacommunityprofiles.com. And our next segment, we're talking with Mr. Clyde Higgs, Chief Operating Officer of the Atlanta Beltline Incorporated. Welcome to the show, Clyde. You don't mind if I call you by first name?
I prefer that you call me by my first name, Lou.
All right, perfect. So you've got your hands full with the Atlanta Beltline,
Indeed.
but you are well equipped with your background. I see you've been there now for 3 years.
That's correct.
Before that, you worked up in a similar kind of a situation in just outside of Charlotte and Kannapolis for 9 years. You were in an appointment by the governor, and before that, you were appointed by the governor of Texas in a similar economic development, strategic economic development position for 5 years and 5.5 years.
Yeah.
So you're definitely well equipped to do the job from your experience, and I wish you the best.
Sure. Thank you.
I went down there Sunday and looked around and to the visitor center and the Ponce City Market, and was extremely impressed. I'm going to just ask you to we'll go from a regular outline, being a journalist, and we'll look at just from let's start with the origin of the Beltline Incorporated, and we'll go to look at the scope and the benefits and the economic development and the investment and some of the housing and tours, and a lot to cover in a short period of time. But let's start with just how the origin and man, did you ever really think it would be this big?
Sure.
From the beginning.
Sure. It's so again, thank you for having us here on the show. We're honored to be here. We always love to talk about the Atlanta Beltline project. It's interesting, even in my days in North Carolina, which we had a very ambitious redevelopment project there, and we really thought we were, kind of the top stuff when we were, announcing our project in 2006. And then all of a sudden, we hear about this project coming out of Atlanta called the Atlanta Beltline, and just really kind of eclipsed a lot of things that we were doing, and so it was absolutely always on my radar screen, and tracked it from 2006 when Atlanta Beltline Inc. was formed to actually do the implementation for the Atlanta Beltline project. But in full scale, if you think about the Atlanta Beltline, a lot of people ask, what is the Atlanta Beltline project? And Lou, I'll tell you, you ask 10 people, you'll get 10 different answers about what the project is. And again, for us, that is, the blessing of the project. It is very multifaceted, multidisciplinary, and it will touch lots of facets of Atlanta life. But in a nutshell, it is a multi-use trail or network of trails. We're going to have transit, economic development, housing. So at the end of the day, we are supposed to deliver about 33 miles of trails for the city of Atlanta. And then also we're going to have transit that's going to be incorporated into that whole design. And you may remember in 2016 of November, the voters of Atlanta passed a half-penny sales tax to support transit along the Atlanta Beltline and other MARTA-related projects. So at its very core, it's a transportation-related project that's supposed to spur economic and community development for the city of Atlanta. So that's the Beltline in a nutshell.
So it started as a thesis for a student at Georgia Tech, I guess, and did he ever underestimate the potential when he was trying to get, all he wanted to do is graduate from Georgia Tech, and here he's creating a new city almost.
Absolutely, and wonderful idea. So Ryan and his thoughts, and even other people, really making this idea come to fruition. The Beltline project, the city of Atlanta, is really the envy for a lot of countries and states out there. So probably once a month we're getting a visitor from another state, from another country, trying to come to Atlanta to see what we're doing with the Beltline project. So something we're really, really proud of, and we really feel like we're the leaders in this kind of redevelopment project.
And the economic development potential is enormous. I know. I think
It
8-to-1 is the expected return on investment.
Absolutely, Lou. And I think that's a really important point for people to understand. So we love to talk about the trail itself, and people get out there on the weekend and they're walking. But one of the pieces that we want to highlight is the economic development piece. So for the Beltline, we've invested about $500 million of money into the project. And on top of that, we've realized over $4 billion, and that's billion with a B, of additional investment from the private sector because of the Atlanta Beltline project. So that 8-to-1 return that you made reference to is exceptional.
I went on your website, and the goal is over the next, say, 20 years or less is $20 billion in total economic benefits.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's the target range now, that we're looking for $10 to $20 billion of economic impact.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're talking with the Chief Operating Officer of the Atlanta Beltline, Inc. Why do they have Inc.? Why is it incorporated? It's not owned by the city, right? What is the... tell us a little bit about the organization structure.
Sure. So Atlanta Beltline, Inc. is the official implementation agent for the city of Atlanta. So we were created by the city of Atlanta and Invest Atlanta specifically to manage this project from the implementation standpoint. We have our sister organization, the Atlanta Beltline Partnership, which does a lot of the philanthropic fundraising for the project. But the delivery of the infrastructure, the economic development, the housing is implemented by the Atlanta Beltline Inc. organization. So if you think about who we are, so we're a very nimble group of about 45 full-time employees, very skilled, multidisciplinary set of professionals that work for the Beltline, and it crosses, again, the gamut. So we have designers, we have engineers, we have communication professionals, legal, procurement. All of this is housed in Atlanta Beltline, Inc. And again, we're very nimble. We are a Georgia not-for-profit entity, and again, created specifically to implement this project.
One of the things that I thought was very impressive about your website is the way you articulated the overview. And let me just read a couple sentences from that. It's the Atlanta Beltline is the most comprehensive transportation and economic development effort ever undertaken in the city of Atlanta, and among the largest worldwide ranging urban redevelopment programs currently underway in the United States. And it is a sustainable redevelopment project that is truly transforming the city. And truthfully, I did not realize the extent to which that is true until I actually went down there on Sunday and looked around.
Sure. Yeah, a lot of people, again, even, when I have friends coming into town and they ask about, so what is this Atlanta Beltline thing? And it is very challenging to verbally articulate what it is. It's one of those things that you have to go and physically experience. And you going out on this past weekend, Lou, you saw all the people out there experiencing the Atlanta Beltline, and that's what we want people to do. We want people to get out, interact. Ultimately, when the Beltline is completed, it will connect 45 neighborhoods in Atlanta. And this is kind of new when you think about the days where infrastructure separated communities. The Atlanta Beltline is going to be a project that is going to connect communities. So matter of fact, if you look at some of the numbers that we've captured for 2017, we've had about 2 million unique visitors that have visited the Atlanta Beltline in the year of 2017. That's exceptional.
I think they were all there on Sunday.
Yeah,
When I was over there.
quite possible.
It was
yeah.
really crowded. I mean, this
That
place was
is.
like, holy cow, look at
That
what's
it
happening
is.
with Atlanta.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Very exciting and really surprising to see. We could, first of all, trying to find a place to park,
Sure, sure.
and then the Beltway's crowded, actually.
It is.
There are people walking and riding, and it's not like
Yeah.
Manhattan, but it's definitely
Yeah.
plenty of people over there.
Yeah, it's incredible, and that's what jazzes me up as well. When we look at the Beltline project, I go out there on the weekend or after office hours and just sit out there and watch, and you really get a good cross section of Atlanta when you're out there on the Beltline.
Clyde, it's great having you on the show, and we're going to ask you to come back next week, and we're going to continue this interview and talk about other things, including where it is exactly and some of the communities that are affected, 45 different communities, the rail component, which I
Absolutely.
don't totally understand. I hope we can understand that better.
Absolutely.
So please come back and join us next week, and we'll have a lot more detailed information for you on Atlanta Beltline Inc. So have a nice day.
Thank you.